But in the new epistemology, we exchange symbols for objects. That which was symbolic for us, because that what helped us merge and interact with nature, became objects for Plato. The creation of the object requires a transformation of the universe. In order for you to create an object, you need to modify the universe, because the universe communicates with us in symbols, and you need to attain a certain level of understanding for the symbol to be clear to you as for what they really are or what they will really represent. That's why in African community and elsewhere, you need to be initiated so that you can understand the universe. But Plato redefined even initiation. Initiation now is to be taught a certain way of thinking, hence academia, what is now like imbued with all the ideology and all that. So the creation of the object requires a transformation of the universe, no longer experienced but rather objectified. Now, according to Plato, you cannot experience the universe anymore, like just feeling it, like being part of it, like being in symbiosis with it. No, you need to detach yourself. You need to be independent from it so that you can objectively reflect on it, and that gives you control over it. Because now when more and more people started buying into his philosophy, it now developed into academia, into educational modes where books were written on it, things were discovered, and a lot of things, and then were taught to children in kindergarten, primary school, high school, university, and all that, and then started perpetuating it, and became, as it became a matter of fact, it becomes a reality not to challenge. It became the way things are done and are supposed to be done. So page 33, we closing very quickly now. So page 23, like actually start at the bottom of page 32, dichotomization of the notion of harmony. Again, there's a difference between harmony in the West and harmony in Africa. So like the bottom page there in 32, where you say the Platonic view sacrifices the wholeness of personhood in order to set the stage on which the epistemological foundation of the European view will be played out. So, and on page 23, second sentence there, once the person was artificially split into conflicting faculties and tendencies, it made sense to think in terms of one faculty winning or controlling the other. And here begins a pattern that runs with frighteningly predictable consistency through European thought, continually gathering momentum for ages to come. That was your question. How did that gather that momentum? The mind is trained from birth to think in terms of dichotomies or splits. You understand how it started taking that momentum? Are you following me? The mind is trained from birth to think in terms of dichotomies or splits. So that is how strong his philosophy was, where they started training people from the moment they were born to think in terms of dichotomies, that it cannot think in terms of symbiosis with nature. The splits become irreconcilable, antagonistic opposites. Holistic conceptions become almost impossible given this mindset. So you cannot think holistically. First, the dichotomy is presented, then the process of valuation occurs in which one term is valued and the other is devalued. Now they begin to teach their children that one is better than the other, one has more value than the other, and you can begin to see the seeds of racism, superior race. You begin to see how it comes. You see how insidious it is, very implied, but it's not very clear yet, but you can begin to see how that is where it begins to develop. They begin to teach you in terms of dichotomy, you versus the other, you know, the good versus the bad. They begin to teach you that in a neutral way, but it's actually not neutral. So one is considered good, positive, superior. The other is considered bad, negative, inferior. From a very early on, maybe even from the moment you just came out of your mom's womb, you begin to be trained in thinking that way. And unlike the Eastern Zen conception of the yin and yang, or the African principle of oneness or twinness, that's what I was looking for. Because in the East is yin and yang, in Africa is twinness. You know, the oppositional complementarity. Because in Africa or in the Asia, we understand that the opposite are complementary. They are not judged. They don't have any value judgment. That one is good, one is bad, one is superior, one is inferior. No, they're just different and must coexist harmoniously. It's that balance that makes life. That is understood in Africa. But look at Freud, Thanatos and Eros. You know, the sexual energy and the death, that are those energy that are always fighting. So everything Western is presented in terms of confrontation, in terms of conflicts, where one needs to dominate the other in order for some kind of functioning to happen. It's always that idea of controlling, dominating the other so that things can function the way you want it because you control it, as opposed to a culture where it's not about dominating or controlling, but it's about how to bring those two forces to coexist harmoniously, because we need both. There's no value attributed to them, to either of them. Do you see the difference there? You see the way what we understand as harmony is different, fundamentally different. In Africa, or in collective, in cosmic being thinking, harmony is bringing balance to different energies, different forces, so that life can be balanced and people can function. But in the West, balance is one power should control the other. One energy, one value should control the other in order to make it function the way it wants it, the way it considers it to be the right way. So there is already fundamental difference there.